Congratulations on your new Profitec Drive. In this guide presented by Whole Latte Love, you'll learn about the parts of the machine, their functions, and how to quickly set it up, make an espresso, froth milk to make a latte, and perform basic programming functions including using active and passive pre-infusion and how to use the quick heating mode to have the machine ready to make a coffee in less than 13 minutes. In the accessory box with the machine is the drip tray, single and double spout portafilters and matching filter baskets, a tamper, backflush disc, braided stainless steel hose for plumbing direct to waterline if desired, an adapter for US plumbing connection, a drainage container, group cleaning brush, and user's manual. The tamper and portafilter handles are twist and change, allowing you to easily customize with wood or other custom components. Up top, the removable water reservoir is located under a panel. Prior to first use, remove, thoroughly rinse, and then replace the reservoir, making sure it is fully reinserted. A cup warming surface is heated by residual heat from the internal boiler. The lever to the left controls steam for frothing milk. The lever to the right dispenses hot water. The drive comes standard with flow control. This valve controls brew water flow rate, and the group-mounted gauge displays pressure on the coffee during brewing. The group lever starts and stops brewing. An illuminated power switch turns the machine on and off. The display reads boiler temperatures, becomes a shot clock during extractions, and shows other programming information. Two buttons below the display are used to navigate and set various programming options. The gauge to the left displays current boiler pressure. The gauge to the right shows pressure in the brewing system. Below the drip tray, there's storage for the backflush disc and a spare steam tip. To install a permanent drip tray drain, remove the plug from the drip tray and install the drainage cup using the provided hardware. Then install a drain hose to the cup and route to a standpipe or other appropriate receptacle. The drive can operate from an internal water reservoir or use a direct water connection. Both options are covered in the following sections. Before setting up the drive, remove the motor hold-down shipping bolt. Failure to do so causes excess noise when operating the machine. If you'll be operating the machine from the internal water reservoir, before adding water, verify the water source selector valve is pointing towards the water connection nozzle so it looks like this. In the reservoir, check that the water level float and cap are seated properly and look like this. Fully seat the water reservoir in the machine and fill with water to near the top. Plug the machine in and turn on the power switch. Open the flow control valve 1 1/4 turns from the fully closed position. Place a large receptacle under the group head and raise the brew lever. Keep the brew lever up for a minimum of 30 seconds to complete the boiler filling cycle. Once that is complete, the pump will continue to run, filling the steam and hot water boiler. Monitor the water level in the reservoir as the boilers fill. You will likely need to add more water during filling. The pump stops automatically when the boiler is filled. Allow the machine to warm up for about 20 minutes. Keep the portafilter locked into the group head during this time and when not in use so it warms up as well. To get your machine up and running faster, see the menus and programming section later in this video to learn how to activate the fast heating mode. Boiler filling operations are required only for initial startup. After warming up, the machine is ready for use. If you will be operating the machine from a direct waterline connection, verify the water source selector valve is pointing away from the water connection nozzle so it looks like this. Attach the smaller end of the braided hose to the water connection nozzle. Connect the other end to your water supply. If needed, use the provided adapter to convert the hose's 3/8 inch BSP fitting to US standard 3/8 inch compression to connect to your water supply. To prevent limescale deposits in the machine, use a filtration system like the BWT Best Max Premium. Profitec specifies waterline inlet pressure of 1 to 2 bar. That's 15 to 30 psi. The Best Max Premium package includes a pressure regulator. See the link in this video's description for a video on how to install this inline filter system. For assistance with filter packages, contact Whole Latte Love Sales and Tech Support. With your Waterline connected, turn the machine on. Enter programming mode by pressing and holding the buttons until brew temperature is displayed. Then press the down button until Advanced User Settings is displayed. Then press the up button to enter the menu. Use the buttons to set the function to on. After 5 seconds, the selection is confirmed. Then press the down button until tank mode is displayed. Use the buttons to set tank mode to off if plumbing to a direct waterline connection. Your selection is confirmed after 5 seconds. Open the flow control valve 1 1/4 turns from the fully closed position. With the direct water connection supply turned on, place a receptacle under the group head and raise the brew lever. Keep the brew lever up for a minimum of 30 seconds to complete the boiler filling cycle. Once that is complete, the pump will continue to run, filling the steam and hot water boiler. The pump stops automatically when the boiler is filled. Allow the machine to warm up for about 20 minutes. Keep the portafilter locked into the group head during this time and when not in use, so it warms up as well. To get your machine up and running faster, see the menus and programming section later in this video to learn how to activate fast heating mode. The Profitec Drive comes out of the box set to a brew temperature of 198 degrees Fahrenheit, which is appropriate for dark to medium roast coffees. See the menus and programming section later in this video to learn how to adjust brew temperatures. Fine-tuning grind size is critical to success when making espresso. It's a straightforward process, often referred to as dialing in which grind size is adjusted to change how long it takes an espresso to extract. Grinding finer slows down the extraction, and grinding coarser speeds it up. The goal is for the entire extraction to take about 25 to 30 seconds. Timing is the same for single and double shots. Select either the single shot or double shot filter basket. Pulling double shots is a little easier, so a good place for a beginner to start. Run some coffee through your grinder and adjust the grind setting until the ground coffee looks like this. Very fine. When you pinch between your fingers, it should hold together a bit and be fine enough to maybe make out your fingerprints in the compressed coffee. When your grind looks like this, load your portafilter. Please note that on the majority of grinders, 0 on the grind adjustment setting does not represent the finest possible grind setting. You may need to adjust to below a 0 marking to properly dial in the grind size. It's important to try and use the same amount or weight of coffee each time. Using more coffee slows down an extraction, and using less speeds it up. The best way to be consistent is to weigh the coffee. For the double shot filter basket, use a dose of 15 to 17 grams. For the single, use a dose of 9 to 12 grams. If you do not have a scale, you can get close and be relatively consistent by slightly overfilling your portafilter and swiping away excess coffee level with the rim. With the coffee loaded, use the tamper to firmly and evenly compress the coffee. You want a nice flat surface so brew water moves evenly through the coffee. Attach the portafilter. Open the flow control valve 1 1/4 turns from the fully closed position to produce the machine's stock flow rate. 1 1/4 turns open is where to set it if you do not plan on using flow control functions. Raise the brew lever, time the extraction. Again, the goal is about 25 to 30 seconds for the extraction, and timing is the same for single and double shots. Stop the extraction based on weight if using a scale, or you can use liquid volume. For weight, stop the extraction at 2 times the weight of your ground coffee dose. If using liquid volume, stop at about 1 ounce for single shots or about 2 ounces for double shots. Include the bubbly crema layer in volume measurements. If your extraction was too slow, adjust the grind size a little coarser and try again. If the extraction was too fast, adjust the grind size a little finer to slow it down. Now, you may get lucky and get the grind size right in a couple of attempts, but no, it's not unusual to do 3 or more to dial in to the right grind size. A good quality espresso-focused grinder helps a lot. Be consistent with the amount of coffee used and tamp the coffee firm and level. Also know that grind size is not set and forget. If you change coffee type, as your beans age or the amount used changes, your grind size will likely need slight adjustments. A few coffee grinding tips. When changing grind size, purge and discard a few grams of ground coffee so all coffee used is of the same grind size. Use consistent dose weight in the portafilter. Use consistent tamping pressure. Remember, numbers and markings on grind size adjustment are just for reference. You may need to adjust to below a 0 marking to grind fine enough. You've made your espresso, so let's froth some milk and combine the two for a latte. For a medium-sized latte, fill a frothing pitcher with 4 to 5 ounces of milk. The exact amount depends on your final drink size. Prior to frothing, open the steam valve briefly to purge any water from the steam wand. Then position the tip just below the surface of the milk and open the valve. This tip position sips in small amounts of air, creating tiny microbubbles in the milk, which creates a rich, creamy texture. As the milk expands, lower the pitcher ever so slightly to keep the tip at the same depth just below the surface of the milk. When satisfied with the amount of air in the milk, lower the wand a little deeper below the surface and find a wand angle that causes the milk to swirl. This swirling breaks up any larger bubbles and creates a uniform milk texture in the pitcher. Keep the milk swirling until the outside of the pitcher just starts to get a little uncomfortable to hold due to heating. When you feel that, the milk is at about 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, which is the sweet point for milk temperature. Close the steam valve with the tip still below the surface of the milk. Wipe down the wand immediately to prevent milk from baking on. After steaming, you must purge the wand of residual milk. Before pouring the frothed milk over your espresso, you can tap and swirl the pitcher to break up any larger bubbles, then pour a bit of the frothed milk in your cup and give it a little swirl to mix with your espresso. Then continue pouring the rest of the milk froth to fill your cup. Now, it'll taste great just like this, or with a little practice and the help of some online tutorials, you can dress it up with some latte art. So we'll take a look at everything we have available in the menus here. Right now it's showing my coffee boiler at 200, my steam temperatures at 267 to get in. Just press and hold for a few seconds here until it changes. Then we use the down button to cycle through. So we've got brew temperature, steam enable, steam temperature, pre-infusion settings, eco mode settings, cleaning reminder, reset reminder, advanced user settings, I have that on so we see all the rest of these things, filter reminder, timer enable, clock set, tank mode for reservoir or plumbed, temperature unit, Celsius or Fahrenheit, then coffee offset correction, and then enable fast heating. If I just don't do anything for about 5 seconds, it reverts back to the main display and saves any changes you made. So there's everything that's available in those menus, but let's take a look at how you'd program a couple of the key functions. So like for brew and steam pressure, so you'd press and hold both buttons, and then once you're in, you use the down button to cycle to the one that you want to change, then use the up button and then down button, up and down, to change to the temperature you want. Now, if you don't do anything for 5 seconds, it's going to automatically save your setting. So you do kind of, need to make those changes quickly. So that pre-infusion that we saw back there, that's a new feature on the Drive here. It wasn't available on the 700. So you go in there and you can turn pre-infusion totally on and off. Then you also have settings for active and passive pre-infusion, so you can set times for those. The active pre-infusion, typically you'd only use that when you're running from the machine's internal reservoir. What it does is it turns the pump on for the time that you've set there. Then the passive pre-infusion, the pump will stop during that time until the time elapses, and then the pump will come back on to complete the extraction. So if you were using a plumbed in connection, you want to have the active pre-infusion off and only use a passive pre-infusion. What that does is you'll lift the lever and then the pump won't come on, but line pressure from your plumbed connection will be applied to the coffee for the time that you've set there. So the Drive does have programmable on-off times. So you go in and you set the time of day and day of week, and then for each day of the week, you have 2 on-off times. But let's talk about the fast heating, which is a feature that can have the machine ready to go and make you a coffee in, somewhere between 11 and 13 minutes. So what that does is it's going to overheat the brew boiler. So it's going to take it to 130 Celsius or about 266 Fahrenheit, and that's going to hold it there for 270 seconds. And what that's doing is just helping get the group head here heated up quicker. Now I've tested normal E61 machines, and it's usually about 25 to 30 minutes to reach temperature stability at the group head if you measure the surface temperature here. Now on the Drive, it's going to hold there for the 270 seconds. Then what happens is it's going to give you a flush message in the display. So what you then do is flush the machine to remove some of that overheated water from the boiler, and you're going to keep that flush going. It's about 20 seconds until you get a ready go message in the display, and then you're going to be right around your set PID temperature and ready to make a coffee. And again, it was about 11 minutes for me until I could make a coffee here. If you miss that 1 minute, no big deal. What's going to happen then is that it'll still say flush on the display, but it's going to show you the boiler temperature. That extra heat is going to stop, and it will come back down to your PID set temperature. Now, before it gets there, you could always do a little flush, probably not the 20 seconds. It's going to depend on how close you are to your brew temperature to get back down there. But you could do a little flush to make the machine ready right away. For additional information on operating and maintaining your Profitec Drive, see the user's manual, which came with the machine. If you purchase a machine from Whole Latte Love and need additional assistance, please contact our tech support staff.